Welcome everyone, Costin here with a discussion about Grand Cathay in Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires. And in this video I want to talk about the new content with patch 4.2 and some of the things that weren't necessarily mentioned in the patch notes, because there is actually something that isn't mentioned in the patch notes, regardless. So, I've unlocked Satan. The quest to unlock it is fairly simple, though it does take a certain amount of time. But when you do unlock Satan the Watcher, you do get a choice for 7 turns. You can either get 10% weapon strength for Jade Lions, Jet Lions, and Terracotta Sentinels, or you can get Legendary Marksman. Personally, I think Legendary Marksman makes more sense in the context over here. And yes, there it is, Satan the Watcher, the big construct that Cathay has. It will spawn next to your Legendary Lord, so in this case it is going to be next to Yanbo. It is gigantic. This guy feels like he could go on and destroy an army on his own. He does start with the Wind Bow, so the Wind Bow gives you a scaled projectile damage against combatants with missing health, causes moderate magical damage, effective at long range, strong versus multiple combatants, and requires line of sight. Yeah, that's not gonna be particularly good. Though, keep in mind, considering how massive he is, I think that's not necessarily gonna be quite as big of a problem. You do get 8 armor for Terracotta Sentinel units, 5 missile strength, campaign line of sight, which is actually pretty sweet, and enemy heroes have a significantly lower chance, or 10% chance success in a region. Not on the Lord, but in a region. You also get various abilities like, so if we're looking at this, let's consider this. You get training, you get control, you get damage walls, assassinate, makes sense to have damage walls. Assassinate, that's a fairly questionable one. Yeah, it's like the mountain is gonna sneak up on you. That's I'm not sure how that's gonna work out, really, personally. But still, in terms of skill line, in terms of the skill line, it's pretty focused on range. Of course, it's like it's a bone giant more or less for Cathay. That's how I would describe it. Campaign line of sight, range, campaign line of sight, piercing, boundless quiver. Nothing here is crazy except like Vanguard deployment for itself, and also ammunition. 15% ammunition, which is actually pretty damn useful for Cathay to have with this legendary hero. Then you get unit experience plus 15% for Jade, Lion, and Jet Lions. Recruit rank. So when it's counting bow units, right, you're looking at recruit rank plus 3. I just kind of feel like Satan, you kind of want to level it up and just throw it into another army, because it's like your Legendary Lord army. I mean, the ammo though is obviously going to be pretty damn useful. But range for Sky Lanterns and Sky Junks. Sky Junks, keep in mind this. These guys are already pretty ridiculous in range. 12% artillery range for those. Oh geez. Doomstack, a new Doomstack has approached. 6% ammunition. So you get 6% ammunition. With 15%. I'm not quite sure why they decided to put that in there. Like, why they decided to put in 2 skills that do the same thing, but okay, fair enough. Melee defense for Terracotta Sentinels, charge bonus for the Lions, Jet Lions, Celestial Lions. Then we get missile resistance, 8% for accompanying lore and underway benefits. Range for Cathay and bow units, 15. So you get a ridiculous amount of power over here with like ranged units. Reload time reduction, like, geez. Ability watched by the Watcher. But that's not all, because then you have Giant Leap, Leadership Aura, Diplomatic Relations benefit to a Grand Cathay, which kind of feels a bit pointless considering how much Diplomatic Relations benefit you have in every single campaign. Maybe if they had the campaign where it's like someone that's despised by the rest of Cathay, but you look at Yanbo. Like, Yanbo gets a lot of Diplomatic Relations. Xiao Ming gets a lot of diplomatic relations. Miao Ying gets a lot of diplomatic relations. So 10, yeah, it will make some confederations easier, but just kind of feels redundant, honestly. You do get ambush defense chance, so good luck ambushing this massive army, and yeah, a couple of other powerful abilities, but really the main things, like, this is not just like, oh yeah, you get a really powerful construct. No, you get an enormous range power ability with this army, like to the point that you may not give a shit about anything other than just stacking as much artillery and range units in an army with Satan. That's my personal perspective on that. Okay, so that's Satan, the centerpiece legendary lord. Nice, very nice, I admit. That's great. What about the Gate Master? Well, not really impressed. You will have quite a few of them. Having a lot of heroes as Cathay is not particularly special. I wasn't eager necessarily to get a lot of them. I would have if they gave replenishment, but they don't. The way you get Gate Masters is you just get the Jade Barracks to tier 3, so yeah, you know, that's nice. You at least get hero capacity at tier 3 with them. That's great. What is less great is what we have here. Now, for what it's worth, he's decent in combat, though more focused on range. The problem there is ranged heroes don't do so well. You do get Tactician, you do get the Warhorse, so that elevation advantage you get the Warhorse does make it work to an extent. But more importantly, like combat ability, I would just more focus him as a distraction hero, because he does have a decent amount of durability, good amount of armor, silver shield, so he's gonna withstand quite a lot of damage. And because he's so fast, actually, like 78 speed, he can run around the battlefield just harassing the crap out of people. Don't expect him to do a significant amount of damage. More look at him as a support hero situation over here with him, as opposed to anything else. Now, in terms of skills, no replenishment, which is the one thing that Cathay actually needed here, was a replenishment hero. They didn't give us that. They gave us a training hero, which is not as useful for Cathay as you might think. The reason it's not as useful for Cathay is because as Cathay you have so many variants, like you have Jade Warrior variants, basically Jade Warrior variants and Jade Warrior Crossbow variants, so you kind of want to replace your variants. I guess it helps you train an army from scratch very quickly, but I never really felt when I was playing Cathay that I was really missing out on a training. So, especially now that they've changed training to just give a percent. I mean, it's useful, don't get me wrong, but I would much rather have casualty replenishment, especially because of the severe climate limitations that Cathay has in a campaign. Yes, you have Jungle Lesion Bow, but it is a problem not having a replenishment as Cathay outside of the compass. What I would say, like, you got this hybrid skill line, melee skills, range skills, that's not really important. What is important are the choices over here. So you get Tactician, you get Warhorse, you get Will of the Dragon, so leadership for allies in range and 35 meters. Okay, all well and good. You get Bulwark of the Gate. So if you're not moving, you get armor, so for 10 seconds. And then you get missile block chance and more armor. So you can withstand a lot of damage with that range damage, especially with the missile block chance. You do get the Jade Standard. Like, you get these free skills. So you get Assault Garrison, Assault Unit, and Hero Action cost. Considering how many of these guys you can get, fair enough. You know, you can use them to harass the enemy. Personally, I do prefer having heroes in my armies as opposed to them doing actions, but still. You can reduce attrition that you take when under siege. Leadership, melee defense, okay, but the real benefit here is the Jade Standard. So you get a minus 10% upkeep for Jade Warriors, all type, basically. Jade Warrior Crossbowmen, Jade Warrior Lancers even. So you get every type of Jade unit gets a massive upkeep unit, except, of course, like the constructs, but still. And then melee defense for those units as well. This is pretty powerful, I'm not gonna lie, because Cathay already has the ability of nullifying a lot of supply lines. Because Perfect Harmony gives you minus 25% upkeep in armies in province, and it's always worth it to go for that, just the income benefit alone would be worth it. But effectively, you can maintain a fairly ridiculous number of armies in a campaign fairly early as Cathay. Now, these are not necessarily full stacks, what I've got here, but still, a good number of armies that I do have in this campaign that you can maintained very quickly. And this essentially, like, if you consider the situation with army, let's just say I recruit one, so you know you're going over there, so that's 28%, 24, so it's 4%. This basically is like 2.5 armies in terms of supply line, because you're gonna recruit a lot of Jade Warriors in terms of like, so this really pushes Cathay's economy even higher. Like it's turn 30. I'm generating not necessarily the biggest amount of money, but really where you earn money as Cathay is not necessarily in having a huge generation of cash, but rather in the fact that your upkeep on units is so low. Like there are factions who start, and I emphasize the start aspect here, who start with the ability of getting like units at 130, 140 or something like that. Meanwhile, it takes in a Cathay campaign, like if we look at these Jade Warriors, right, because we just conquered the territories and now we got Harmony, because obviously it doesn't apply when you don't control the territory. But like like even though I have a lot of armies here, it's a bit weird, really. It says 12 there, it says whatever, it doesn't matter. But regardless of that, you have units that even with all these armies are cheaper than many factions have at the beginning of their campaign. Yeah, this is what makes Cathay really damn powerful as a race, as a faction, what have you. And it does help. This is a buff to Cathay, a fairly substantial buff to have gate guards. And keep in mind, you don't have to just have one gate guard per army. You can have more of them. Like, you can get a lot of these guys. I just don't think, like, it's nice. Like, regardless of what one thinks, it is a benefit in a campaign. Beyond that, let's consider other things as well. Has any climate situation changed? No. Beyond that, they did actually made some modifications, updates to the Cathay caravans. I can say that I've been ambushed less by those crappy ogre armies, and more I've been dealing with stacks. Or events like the Castdwarfs have. It's not like the Castdwarfs where you get a lot of those unique units from different factions, but at the very least, I do feel I'm no longer dealing with the masses of ogres that have no chance and are just a waste of my time to tackle. So that's nice. So some minor improvement to the Cathay and Caravan, I think, on that. Now, how do you unlock Satan, you might ask? It's pretty simple when you're considering the situation, assuming I do find. So you get a quest. You need to reach rank 12 with your hero. And what you need to do then is kill a bunch of enemy units. So you got to kill 1,500 enemy units. And then you gotta get Jet Lions, Jade Lions, Terracotta Sentinels, Green Guardian, potentially. Regardless, you gotta get 6 of these. Now, you do start with 1 Jade Lion as Yan Bo, so you gotta get 5 more. This took me this long because it's like, yeah, just Cathay doesn't necessarily have the best growth, and you're not necessarily incentivized to get the growth buildings. Let's put it like that. I mean, you've got other priorities, especially as Yan Bo in a campaign like this. So that's how you get Satan. What about other things in this campaign? What about other things for Cathay? Any other changes? Well, economy is the same. Climate situation, if we look at it, is the same. So nothing's changed over there. They're very minor campaign changes. In terms of recruiting the new stuff that Cathay does have access to, well, the Grey Moonbird is a tier 4 unit that's available from the Celestial Observatory. Not really a problem. It's also 425 in terms of cost. I'll admit, like, when I look at it, like, I consider its stats. Okay, it's got some nice benefits right here, like having the Moonflare ability, right? It's got Siege Attacker. It obviously can fly. It's got Ian Harmony fire resistance, missile resistance, and causes terror. It's got magical attacks as well. Good amount of weapon strength, though no armor piercing. I'm looking at this unit, at least for single player, right? Anyone who plays multiplayer can let me know how they feel about it, but I'm looking at this particular unit. It is fast. It is a really fast unit. But maybe one per army or something like that I would bother with. I think it would be interesting to try and construct the army, like J-Lions, Jet Lions, Terracotta Sentinels, as well as these birds, to see how it does. But the lack of armor piercing, I do feel it hurts it, but given its speed, right, it does a good amount of damage. Outside of that, the Celestial Lion, because, like, this is the thing as well. Like, when I'm looking at these two units, like, you got the Grey Moonbird. Okay, it looks decent enough, but then you gotta look at the real competition as far as I see it. So they both, you gotta look at the Celestial Lion as a unit. This is a Yang unit. This is Fearsome Roar, which reduces leadership of enemies. It's not as fast. It's only got 85 speed compared to the Grey Moonbird. But I look at the Celestial Lion, who does have armor piercing, who does have terror, just the same thing. And I'm asking myself here, like, you get Wounded Pride if its HP is going down here. Like, you get Wounded Pride for this thing. And I'm just thinking to myself, why would I pick the Moonbird? I mean, it does have more HP, but it has less armor and doesn't have any armor piercing, though it does have magical attacks. Maybe the Moonbird is better against demons, though demons are not necessarily the biggest problem to tackle. I don't know. Like, I'm looking at this unit, I'm not sure. Like, I understand, like, a fast flanker unit, whereas the Celestial Lion is more durable in a fight, more capable of that particular role, as opposed to just a constant flanker with the Grey Moonbird. Realistically, though, I think, like, if you're going to look at using a unit in a campaign, I would certainly use the Celestial Lion. I was actually surprised that they added this unit at tier 3, but yeah, that's nice. We'll actually use it in a campaign. I feel like any unit that's past tier 3, you're going to use in very limited quantities in a campaign just because of difficulty in recruiting them. Whereas units that you can get at tier 3, including Jade, Jet, and Lions, and Celestial Lion right now, I guess, well, all the Lions are recruited from the same structure, is a lot of power. But that is what Cathay does get. Saytang, who's pretty easy to recruit, just gotta take some time. Like, you don't have to do anything annoying or construct a really annoying building. The only thing you gotta do is just get the Astromancer recruitment building, which you'd want anyway, because you want to get Astromancers, so makes sense. And you want to get all these Lion units. That's all you... And so you gotta get a couple of these Lion units, which is worth doing anyway. So I do feel like for Cathay, getting Saytang makes perfect sense. The benefit he offers, like that... like when you're considering like the base missile damage for Cathay and bow units, that is incredibly powerful. Maybe you might want to time getting this when things are dicey, when you're about to engage in some really difficult battles over here. Though truth be told, even if you rush for it, chances are by the time you get Saytang, the campaign is over, because the campaign is over here. Like, Snitch is dead, Lokir is on his last legs in a siege. I did lose quite a few guys to deal with those, and even had Nakai take down one of my settlements, but all the same, they're done. And Mazamundi is done, Marafi is dead, or will be soon enough. No, actually she is. Good job, Ostankia. Well, I fought 2 of her stacks, but still. That's kind of the thing, like, you look at all the new stuff that Cathay added, and it's like, doesn't matter all that much. Like, this is why we need campaign changes. Or campaign dynamic changes. Like, I've played the Unbows campaign multiple times, but I've never seen a reason to continue this campaign past turn 30 when I know there's not going to be much at stake in this. Like, what do you do in this campaign? Like, yeah, I can take my armies and build hordes of forces over here and send them via sea lanes over here into Lustria to just invade and ruin Rakarth's day if I really wanted to. But that's essentially it. I mean, it's not... Like, the unit changes. Like, the units are pretty solid. I am disappointed. Like, of the units, I just kind of don't understand quite exactly what the purpose of the Moonbird is. Satang is good, though. Really good. Holy shit. The Game Master, I like the upkeep benefit, but I really hate the fact that he doesn't have replenishment. Let me put it like this. If they had given us a hero replenishment, I think that this would have been a overall really good patch for Cathay. Like, I think Shadows Change, like Cathay, regardless of how you feel about Shadows Change, did get the best content, did get the best benefits here. I am annoyed by the Harmony system, in the sense that the way it was at Shadows Change launch was better than the way it is right now with these negatives, because there's no reason to do anything other than get perfect harmony. Whereas before, when it launched, you had more choice. Sure, there's mods on that subject, but still. Still, Cathay is in a good spot. Would have been nice to get the hero casualty replenishment. Would have been nice to get some minor harmony system or maybe a buffer, something along those lines. Because I've said this before and I'll say it again. There's no reason to go for anything other than perfect harmony, because perfect harmony is the best. And in order to go for either full yin or yang, you have to sacrifice a lot. So what's the damn point of the system if it's so easy to get 25%? Like that's the thing. You're basically playing a campaign without no supply lines until you get the ridiculous number of armies. It doesn't matter where you're recruiting in those armies. And you are playing a campaign where you're looking at not 15%, but 30% income benefit if you use Celestial Lake. And you get to a point pretty damn quickly in your campaign where you don't even care about Celestial Lake. That's the final issue, the compass issue. But look, Cathay was the best race pre-Shadows of Change. It got the biggest benefits of Shadows of Change. I wouldn't say it's an S tier race, not quite. Climate limitations, casualty replenishment, all that. Even growth, like, it's not like Cathay has bad growth, but they don't have exceptional growth either. Skaven have exceptional growth, and they have enough issues to prevent them from being an S tier race. But still, Cathay is in the best spot out of all the races affected by Shadows Change. Is it the best campaign? I do believe so. Like, Yanbo is probably the best campaign. Did the things that they added in the campaign make it better? Yes. Again, Game Master is good. We just didn't need training. We needed casualty replenishment. Satang is really good. Satang is exceptionally good. And yeah, Celestial Alliance at tier 3 is fun. But that's about it. Cosine signing out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and enable notifications, and stay tuned for more.